Okay guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video, you might see me get a teeny bit ranty because this topic infuriates me. Today, I'm going to tell you what schools not to apply to. Do not apply to these law schools. If you decide to ignore my advice and apply to the schools that I mentioned in this video, which you should not do, please be careful. You are in dangerous waters. In this video, we are going to be diving into the topic of predatory law schools. Now, maybe you don't know what a predatory law school is. We're going to be talking about all of the factors that go into what makes a school predatory, and I will be listing some of the schools that are considered predatory that you should not apply to. And if you are new to my channel, you should definitely subscribe. I would love to have you as a subscriber. I'm almost at 1,000 subscribers. That's wild. Every time somebody subscribes, I get really excited. And as always, if you have any questions or you just want to talk, you can either leave them in the comments or you can DM me on Instagram and you can throw me a follow. I love chatting with you guys about all things law school. It's really fun. So without further ado, let's get into the video. As always, I will cite all of my sources in the description box, so if you want to do your own further research on the topic of predatory schools, you can go ahead and click any of those links. But let's get into what is a predatory law school. Now, it's difficult to find a clear-cut definition of what a predatory law school is, but I will say, if you watch this video, you will know one when you see one. We're not gonna fall for their tactics anymore. It is often a combination of multiple factors, which we will start describing now. 1, it is a for-profit law school. What is a for-profit law school? The Atlantic defines a for-profit law school, this is kind of funny, kind of terrible, as a capitalistic dream of privatized profits and socialized losses. There are multiple articles online detailing the dangers of for-profit law schools, some of which I will link below, but why are they so dangerous? In 2006, there was an extension added to the Federal Direct Plus Loan Program, and this allowed graduate students who are attending an accredited program to borrow up to full cost of attendance, meaning they could borrow all of tuition as well as all of their extra expenses, living expenses, books, transportation, stuff like that. Interestingly enough, this extension did not put a cap on how much these schools could charge for tuition, as well as how much students could borrow. Here lies the issue. These predatory schools are charging a large amount to come, and students are able to take out as much money as they need. And when students graduate, they are not able to pay off the debt they took out. In 2013, more than 90% of 1,191 students who graduated from a for-profit law school carried a median debt of $204,000. That's more than most people take out to go to a top law school, even if they're paying sticker. That's wild. So for-profit law schools are a big indicator that we might have some predatory action going on, as they are mostly concerned about their profits. Next, we're going to talk about bar passage rates. Low bar passage rates are also a red flag that the school you might be applying to is predatory. Besides figuring our whole lives and careers out, one could argue that the most important part about going to law school is acquiring the knowledge that you need to pass the bar. These schools do not have good bar passage rates. From the same article that I mentioned earlier from the Atlantic, in the class that Florida Coastal admitted in 2013, more than half of the admitted students were unlikely to ever pass the bar exam. These schools provide a subpar legal education, and they also admit students with really low LSAT scores, which leads to a low bar passage rate. That is, if you believe in the correlation between LSAT score and bar passage rate. Some people do, some people don't. After bar passage rates, we have the third factor. I'm not even gonna sugarcoat this one. Terrible employment outcomes. Absolutely pitiful. This is a direct quote, so I'm gonna read it. The odds of a graduate from a for-profit school getting a job that justifies incurring the school's typical debts are essentially 100 to 1. Now, I'm not a fan of those odds. Are you? I really feel like, I'm not a math person, but those don't sound like good odds to me. I wouldn't be betting on that horse any race, any season, anytime. Okay? Importantly, predatory law schools generally have low employment rates at graduation, and then when you check in again 10 months after graduation, their employment numbers get worse. It's a downhill slope from graduation onward. The fourth factor is high attrition rates. Basically, people dropping out or transferring to another school. Obviously, people start going to these schools and then they realize they get a little smart and they're like, this is not right. And they either drop out or they transfer to another school. High attrition rates are indicative that something ain't right. One school, Whittier Law School in California, which now I believe has been shut down, had a 20.8% attrition rate in their 1L students. That means 1 in 5 students were dropping out. That's bad. That is not a good number. No, that shows that there is something that the school is not doing right. And finally, perhaps one of the most important aspects of a predatory law school, the conditional scholarship scam. I'm gonna link a couple articles all about the conditional scholarship, but essentially a conditional scholarship is one that requires you to maintain a specific GPA in order to keep the scholarship award. Now, that doesn't sound so bad on first glance, does it? Well, let's look a little deeper into it. So this table that I'm popping up on the screen right now shows the number of students at certain universities that received conditional scholarships and then lost them in the given academic year. As you can see, at Drake University during the 2018 to 2019 academic year, 39 students received conditional scholarship and 69.2% of those students lost their conditional scholarship after their 1L year. Conditional scholarships can be appealing to students who aren't knowledgeable of these predatory tactics. They think, I can maintain the GPA that I need to keep my scholarship. But would you want a 31% chance of keeping your scholarship and a 69% chance of losing it? I wouldn't. That would make me very anxious. I think there are good schools that offer conditional scholarships. I would say if you are getting a conditional scholarship from a law school, I would negotiate to make it unconditional before I would negotiate for more money. That's my hot take. For my mental health, I'm not a fan of conditional scholarships. I'm not saying if they offer a conditional scholarship, they are automatically a predatory school, but it is a tactic used by a lot of predatory schools. They give out a full ride scholarship, a student loses the full ride scholarship, and then they're paying sticker for the remaining 2 years. But if you are fine with your conditional scholarship, that's good with me. Just for my sanity, I would never take one, and I would negotiate to make a conditional scholarship unconditional. That's my take on it. So we have the 5 factors that usually point to a predatory law school, whether it's for-profit, low bar passage rates, horrible employment outcomes, high attrition rates, and conditional scholarships. Now, what schools fall into this category? What schools should you avoid at all costs? There are a lot of these schools out there. I'm gonna link a couple sources in the description box, but I'm just gonna name a couple that you should really avoid. The ones that, while I was looking at the sources, seems to pop up the most, seem to fall into most of these characteristics, so let us list them now. But if you want more, description box, as usual. So, I'm gonna read these because there's quite the list. We have Argosy University, Atlanta's John Marshall Law School, Florida Coastal School of Law. This is a big offender that I saw on pretty much every list. Charleston School of Law, Arizona Summit School of Law, Western Michigan University Cooley Law School. That one was pretty much on every list too, very high up, and Appalachian University. These are just a few. Like I said, there are more. Avoid these schools. It will save you so much pain and suffering. If you can only get into one of these schools, I never say this, I really don't say this, retake the LSAT and reapply. People are graduating from these schools with astronomical amounts of debt, and they are not getting the employment outcomes to pay that debt off. If you watched my T14 video, I am not a person that says T14 are bust. I think you can get a great education at a smaller law school, at a regional law school, but I will say if your only options are one of these schools that are extremely predatory, I would urge you to retake the LSAT and consider waiting a year and applying in the next cycle so that you can get to a more reputable school that is not going to use these predatory tactics to kind of screw over your legal career. Alright guys, that is all for my video on predatory law schools. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this was kind of helpful. I remember when I started applying, I had no idea what a predatory law school was. And I'm just lucky that there were none around me that I was thinking about applying to, because I would not have known. And so if this helped you at all, let me know in the comments and subscribe to my channel. I'd love to have you as a subscriber, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.